Don't expect other people to understand your grind because God didn't give them your vision. Now, the reason I talk about vision today is because a personal vision is something that will change the scope of your entire life. When you wake up in the morning, that vision drives you forward. Whenever you face adversity in something that you're doing, that vision will drive you forward. You see, a personal vision is merely the way that we see our life playing out, something that we want to achieve, create, or become during the span of our lives so that we can provide value to the world. When you're clear on where it is you are headed in life, all of a sudden now you have a direction. That is magnitude. You are going somewhere. When you don't have a direction, you don't have magnitude, you're going to be lost because you don't know what comes next. For myself, a long time ago, I didn't have a personal vision. I used to work in clinical research. I used to wake up, go to my job 9 to 5 and be depressed pretty much the entire week. I would live for the weekend and try and wait for something to be happy. And while I was in that process, I spent my time watching porn, doing drugs, drinking alcohol, wasting my time doing things that didn't productively improve my life. And all throughout the time that I was doing it, I hated it. I hated the fact that I couldn't give up these vices, but I also didn't know how to get rid of them until I discovered what it means to have a vision for your life. Something that you see as meaningful and worth pushing your life towards so that you can create something meaningful with the days you have on this planet. A personal vision differs greatly from a goal or an ambition. You see, the thing about goals and ambition is what drives us to succeed in this world, to conquer, to take things that we know we can have, like for example, promotions at work, making more money in our business, the things that we have under our control. We have the ambition and drive to become better. But a goal is slightly different as well. A goal is something that is the initial starting point. So for example, if you want to get somewhere in life, having a goal is important because at least you have a reference point to work towards. This could be, say for example, losing weight through attending the gym. It could be having a promotion at work. It could be starting a new business or side hustle. Whatever it is, ultimately that is a reference point that you can work towards. But a goal is something that is short term. It could take you a month to open a business. It could take you a year to receive a promotion. It could even take you a year to lose weight via the gym. But at least you know you're going to land there if you keep working towards that goal. A vision, on the other hand, is different. You don't know if you're going to achieve that vision. The vision is merely what drives you. The vision is what takes you from where you are now and gives you a direction to go towards, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to achieve that vision, because throughout the process of your journey, you are going to change and improve as a human being. New goals will filter into your life, new people, new situations, everything will change unilaterally because ultimately now you're in your car, you are in charge of your vehicle, and you are driving from where you are now towards a destination. Personal vision also helps you have more ambition, more determination, and more resilience in your life. Purely because, as human beings, whenever we want to achieve something, it's very difficult to motivate us if there's nothing in front of us. For example, if I were to tell you, go outside and pick all the weeds out of the garden in the burning hot sun and you will achieve nothing as a result. You won't gain anything, I'm not going to pay you any money, just go and do it for fun. You wouldn't do it for fun. It's not desirable, it's not enjoyable. And as human beings, when there is suffering to be had, the only thing that can take us from where we are and the process of suffering is we have to be drawn with an incentive. There has to be something powerful that takes us through the present moment, that incentivizes us to go out and grab something in the future. Without that, it's more than likely we're going to give up. And that's why when you look at New Year's goals, people say, oh, I'm going to lose 10 kilos this year, and they end up losing no weight. Or people that say, oh, I'm going to quit eating junk food, I'm going to quit smoking. 2 years later, they're still smoking, still eating junk food. And I know exactly where this is coming from, because for myself, I smoked for 9 years. And quitting smoking is a lot easier now than it was before. Now and again, I can have a cigarette and it doesn't do any harm to me because I can just say, okay, I'm going to have one with a friend and that's it. However, back in the past, because my life was so tied towards something that was making me feel good, something that was making me feel like I had some kind of meaning in my life in the moment, it was impossible to quit. But now, I create videos such as this, I have my own fitness goals, I do all kinds of things, and this is what allows me to say, okay, smoking is actually taking away from what I want in life. So why would I keep smoking? It doesn't make any sense. So when you have that objective, that's what you're always working towards, it's always something in the future, then you'll be able to give up the things that are holding you back very easily. You're probably wondering, how is it that you can go about creating a personal vision? Well, the easiest way is to firstly define your values and beliefs. So, for example, what is it that you value the most in the world? Do you value relationships? Do you value knowledge? Do you value money, career? Do you value your own personal development? What is it that you care about the most, right? When you can define what it is that you value the most, then all of a sudden you have something that is aligned to your interests. For example, if your primary value was personal development, but one of your values was to, one of your vision was to spend more time with family and friends, even if you didn't really care for it, then all of a sudden there's no alignment, because now you're doing something that was never really in your interest, but you feel is necessary to live a good life. You don't have to be the same as everyone else, and your vision will be different from my vision. Everybody else on this planet will all have different visions. However, your vision has to be aligned to what it is you actually care about in life. Secondly, to create the next part of your vision, you've got to decide and figure out what it is you care about. Not just in terms of values and beliefs, but in terms of interests. What are you passionate about? What do you love in life? Like, what do you actually care about? Do you like sports? Do you like writing? Do you like training? Do you like commentating? Whatever it is that you love, figure that out. Because the thing that you're passionate about is what's going to drive you forward. And I'll give you an example. I was recently talking to a client of mine, and we were talking about, creating a vision for life. And he was telling me he wanted to do all of these things with his life. He wanted to make sure he did really well in his job, and he got a promotion at work. He wanted to make sure that he kept building up his career, studying more skills. But he didn't seem like he cared for any of it. It just sounded more like he was doing it because he had to. Now, all of a sudden, when we started to dive a bit deeper, it turned out that these things were not something he even cared about. It was just what he was doing so that he could get by in life, so that he could just say that he was moderately successful. But what he really cared about and was passionate about was photography and videography. And how did we find out? Well, we found out by looking at how time went. I asked him, how does time feel when you are studying or you're at your job? And he said, it feels like I'm taking forever. It feels like I'm bored, my life is miserable. And I was like, okay, how does it feel when you're editing photos and videos? And he's like, well, time just disappears. It feels like time is going so fast. And I said, well, what do you think that you're more passionate about then? Do you think it's the objective that makes you feel like your life is a drag, taking forever and it's torture? Or is it something that feels like time goes quick because you're really absorbed in the moment? Figuring that out, the thing that allows you to dissolve time and dissolve space and just be there in that moment to enjoy what it is you're doing, that is your passion. When you can tie your passion in with your ability to understand your values and beliefs and attitudes towards the world, all of a sudden you have the intersection called your vision. And that is how you can move forward towards it. Think of a way in which that you could have your personal vision written out in one sentence, right? So it might be a lot, but ultimately that sentence should be a mantra. It should be something that pushes you towards achieving more in life, okay? So it should give you confidence. It should inspire you when you wake up, when things are difficult. Think back on this sentence, your mantra, so that you can realize why you're going through what it is you're going through. I'll give you an example. So let's say your personal vision might be to become the best version of yourself within the next 10 years in terms of knowledge, strength, being lean, being cut, whatever it is. You've got to figure out exactly why it is you want that. It's easy to say, and I purposely brought up a very vague vision, because when you are not clear on your why, it's very difficult to actually go out and accomplish it. You want to be very clear on why it is you want that. So, for example, if it's your health goals and you want to do that for yourself, that's amazing, because you want to live a longer life. See, your why is you want to live a longer life. But then you have to ask yourself, why is it you want to live a longer life? What's important to you? It may be because you want to be around friends and family, so therefore it means it's a relationship value. So you see how the further you dig into your vision, the more you realize that it constructs the entirety of your time on this planet. So you have to think carefully on how that's going to look. So it's very important to distill it down into a vision, and the easiest way that you can do this, and the way which I show a lot of my clients, is to essentially sit down and realize, okay, what's going to be written on my tombstone? How do I want to be remembered in this world? For my accomplishments, for how I dealt with other people, for who I was as an individual. Who do I want to be? Right? And when you can really get clear on what it is that you want your life to look like, once you've finished your life, then you can easily reverse engineer the entire process. Because Life is merely a series of actions, and of course there's a whole bunch of other things that go on, right? Like there's other people, there's other variables and factors. Nothing is cut in stone. Nothing is set in stone, right? Everything's going to be changing. But ultimately, when you have a good idea of where it is you're headed, you have something to work towards. You have something that forms the foundation of each day, so that you wake up with inspiration and don't feel sad, depressed, or miserable, because now you have something to bring you forward. One of the greatest ways to reverse engineer something is to think in terms of milestones, right? So think of checkpoints in your journey. For example, it could be a month, a year, 6 months, a year from now, whatever it is that is going to allow you to at least angle yourself towards that vision. Yeah, that's what drives you. And if you remember, I mentioned earlier that the vision isn't necessarily something that has to be accomplished, but at least it shows you where to take yourself next. It gives you direction to your next pit stop. So that's the most important thing, is actually having somewhere to go towards, some kind of direction. So you can plan out things for 5 years, 1 year. I don't recommend any longer than 5 years in terms of goals, because everything shifts, right? Like you could have a whole new set of interests in 5 years. You could have a whole new set of hobbies, people around you, everything like that. But if your vision was clear, then ultimately that's what has driven you from where you are now to where you're going to be in 5 years, right? Because you're following your vision. You don't know if it will be achieved, but you know that everything around you will change to be congruent with that vision you're trying to create. So ultimately, try and break down those milestones, and most importantly, break down those milestones into daily habits. Things that you do every single day to accomplish something that's at least going to push you a little bit further towards the end objective. Because when you do things every day, you build up consistency. And I know that the vision I mentioned is not something that is a certain accomplishment. It's something that's the end, something that drives you to your next goal. But ultimately, consistency on a daily frequency is what is a game changer over time. So to sum up what we've talked about today, essentially a personal vision is going to take you to where you want to be in life, the person you want to become. Everything will become clear, and you'll have clarity in your next destination. You won't be stuck anymore if you have a personal vision. Secondly, the most important thing is to make sure to distill down your personal vision into sizable milestones. And thirdly, to make sure that your vision is aligned to the things you actually care about in life. So here's the thing, I challenge you to take that 10 to 15 minutes to find out what it is you care about, to find out what it is that is actually aligned to your interests, values, attitudes, beliefs. What are you passionate about? Where it is you want to go next in life. Really take time to just sit down and plan it out. Life is busy, everyone has so much going on, but if you don't take the time to literally sit down and assess your options, then ultimately someone else will be controlling your life. It won't be me, it won't be the person next to you, but it will be the fact that your life is dictated by unseen forces. You want to rein that in and take control of your own life, and that is where personal development truly begins. So I suggest, to get started, get yourself a piece of paper. 10 to 15 minutes is all you will need, and assess and write down the things you care about, what you value, and how you want to do it, and when you want to achieve it by, and that there will give you a reference point. Or you can also download my free ebook, which will show you how to do this with a 6-month personal vision. I'm going to attach the link for you in the description below. Feel free to grab that for yourself. Hope you found this video useful, and if you've liked what you've seen, be sure to like, subscribe, give me a follow. I will be posting much more of these in the future.